Hi, I'm Scott Tomlinson with Clinical Trials Ontario. In this video tutorial, we're going to look at post-approval applications in CTO Stream. Specifically, over the course of the video, we will cover how to create provincial and center post-approval applications, the access required to create and view post-approval application forms, tips for working with provincial and center amendment forms. We will go over continuing review reminders, and how to unlock and resubmit an approved or acknowledged reportable event application. In order to create a provincial post-approval application form, the provincial initial application for the study must have already received REB approval, and you must have a full access provincial level role, such as provincial applicant, provincial co-applicant, provincial study staff, or sponsor/CRO full access, or you are the project owner for the study. If you have one of these roles, you'll see the Create Subform button under the Action menu when you have the provincial initial application selected in the project tree. Then you can click the Create Subform button and select the type of post-approval form you wish to create from the drop-down menu. For this example, I'll choose the Provincial Amendment, and then once you've selected the form, you'll click the Create button. Once the form has been created, it will automatically be added to the project tree, and everyone with a role on the study will have their role extended to the new post-approval application form. With some subforms, such as the provincial amendment, there are restrictions that prevent multiple forms of this type from being created at once. So if I go back to the provincial initial application and click on the Create Subform button, you'll no longer see the provincial amendment in the list. So I can only create one form of this type at a time, and that's the same for the center amendments. Each site can only have one center amendment at a time. The previous provincial or center amendment must be either approved, acknowledged, or withdrawn before I can create another one. To create center post-approval applications, you must have either a provincial level full access role or a center level full access role for the site that you're creating the application for. The full access center level roles include center principal investigator, center co-investigator, or center study staff full access. If you have one of these full access roles, you'll see the Create Subform button when you have the center initial application selected in the project tree. Similar to how creating provincial post-approval forms, you just need to click the Create Subform button and then select the type of subform you wish to create from the drop-down menu. Just like with the provincial amendment, there can only be one center amendment created at a time per participating site. Section 2 of the provincial and center amendment forms is called Amendment Details. Inside this section is a question where you must indicate all of the changes you're making with the amendment by selecting the applicable checkboxes. In the provincial amendment form, this is question 2.3. Which of the following changes are included in the amendment? Your response to this question determines what sections of the form will appear later on, where you'll be able to upload your study documents and answer all of the applicable questions. Section 2 of the provincial amendment and center amendment forms also contain two questions where you can enter a label that will appear in the REB letters and a label that will appear in the project tree to help identify this amendment. For the center amendment form, these two questions are question 2.4 and 2.5, and in the provincial amendment form, as we're looking at right now, you can see that these are question 2.5 and 2.6. If a provincial amendment is approved that includes changes to the provincial consent form or any consent document, each site must submit a center amendment in response with their center-specific version of the new consent document. There is a question in Section 2 of the Center Amendment which asks, is this application associated with a previously submitted provincial amendment? If you are submitting your Center Amendment based on a provincial amendment that was recently approved, you need to select yes to this question, and then you can provide the project tree label or identifier of that provincial amendment or their review reference number in the question that follows 2.61 to help the REB tie your center amendment back to whatever provincial amendment it was submitted in response to. Each study in CTO Stream has a single expiry date that is shared by all sites participating on the study. This means if a site joins an existing study 6 months after the initial REB approval was granted, they would need to apply for renewal with all the other sites in 6 months' time. Continuing review reminders are sent 60, 45, 30, and 15 days before the study expiry date, and 5, 15, and 30 days after the expiry date has occurred. The Provincial study team must submit both a Provincial Continuing Review and a Center Continuing Review application. These are created using the Create Subform button while you have either the Provincial Initial Application or the Center Initial Application selected from the project tree, just as the example we looked at earlier. The Provincial Continuing Review must be submitted by the full board meeting deadline that occurs prior to the study expiry date. If the provincial ethics approval expires, then the ethics approval expires for all participating sites. Once an application has been approved or acknowledged by the REB, the form remains locked and it cannot be edited. Reportable event applications are an exception to this rule, as they can be unlocked and edited even after they've been approved or acknowledged. This allows the study teams to submit additional information or updates about a reportable event that may not have been available at the time of the initial submission. To do this, select an acknowledged or approved reportable event application in the project tree, and this could be a center or provincial reportable event, and then click the Update This Event button that's visible under the action menu on the left-hand side of the page. The form has now become unlocked and can be edited and resubmitted just like any other form in the system. Thanks for watching the video. If you have any questions about CTO Stream or are having any technical issues, visit support.ctontario.ca to submit a Helpdesk ticket. You can visit ctontario.ca for more video tutorials, user guides, quick guides, and tip sheets.